The Detroit Lions are getting Aaron Glenn to come back for yet another year. However, though, not everybody is excited at the prospect of him coming back. We're going to talk about it in today's episode, folks, so stay tuned.
We used to be a team no one respected. We used to be a team no one feared. That was then. This is now.
First victory of the year on the line. Goff's got it. Back, looks, throws, end zone. Yes! Caught!
You know who we are.
10-5, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
And you know where to find us. We won't be far. We'll be on your front porch waiting for you. We are the New Era Lions, and
we are driven by Detroit.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving in right now. But before we dive on in, I just want to say to all my loyal fans and subscribers that are coming back, thank you all for coming back. Thank you all for devoting more time to the show. And to those that are tuning in for the very first time, I just want to say thank you all for giving my show a shot. Thank you all for devoting some of your time. Hope you enjoy the show, but even more so, I hope to gain you subscribers if I've earned and deserved it. And with that being said, to everybody, just want to say God bless. Hope you're all having a good day, and let's get into it. So, here's the thing, folks. Once again, the Lions have retained the services of defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. And, you know, it's kind of actually a little bit surprising. I will admit it's a little bit surprising because when we started this offseason period, there were a lot of people that thought the Lions were going to lose either one or both of their coordinators because of the fact that there were so many head coaching positions that became vacant. There were 8 head coaching vacancies when we started the offseason period, and yet, surprisingly, every single vacancy was filled by other coaches from other teams. And that to me was just kind of like a little bit perplexing because we had heard so much during this offseason period and even prior to the offseason how the Lions coordinators were highly sought after, how they were going to be one of the hottest tickets in the entire offseason head coaching carousel. And yet, surprisingly, despite all the interviews, it did not come to fruition. Now, granted, with Ben Johnson, once again, he decided to pull out of contention because he didn't want to leave. But with Aaron Glenn, this is not the first offseason that he's gone through this whole thing. It happened in 2021, it happened in 2022, it happened also this year, where he's gotten interviews and everyone says he's a strong candidate, and yet at the very end of it all, he doesn't get a job. Kind of, you know, falling into that same category of Eric Bieniemy, the former offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. But that's then, this is now. So again, the Lions have retained the services of Aaron Glenn. But I'm going to say this too right now. Not everybody is happy at the prospect of his return for the defensive coordinator position. Because let's be fair and honest here. When it comes to the conversation topic of Aaron Glenn, I have made it no secret. I have not tried to hide it. I have not tried to, you know, give some sort of a false inhibition, if you will, that I like Aaron Glenn. Because the honest truth is, I don't. I don't like his style. I don't like how he addresses the media. I don't like his smugness. I especially don't like how he play calls. Because let's think about this. I'm not the only person that doesn't have does not like Aaron Glenn. There are quite a lot of fans that over the course of the last 3 seasons have come to not like Aaron Glenn's style. However, though, where kind of that whole thing kind of disperses itself a little bit is the conclusion of whose fault is it in regards to whether or not Aaron Glenn is at fault or somebody else is at fault for why this defense has not done particularly well. Because you have to think about it here. Some people have made the argument that Aaron Glenn's defense is as bad as the way it is because supposedly Brad Holmes has not given Aaron Glenn enough talent to make this defense work. That's one side of the argument. The other side of the argument, which I sit on, is that it does not matter how much talent Aaron Glenn gets. This defense is never ever going to get to a point with Aaron Glenn to be that kind of defense we're going to need. And based off of the last 3 years of evidence and consistent failure from this defense, I think that is the way that it's going to continue to be. And that's why we're going to have this episode. That's why the title is the way it is. That's why the thumbnail's the way it is. Because to me, it's like, listen, okay, even though I don't personally think it's ever going to happen, I will give Aaron Glenn one final chance to figure this out because it's like, listen, I adhere very, very much to the whole prospect. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You are not going to fool me 3 times. Well, at this point, we've already passed the 3rd time. But it's like, listen, Aaron Glenn's coming back for a 4th year. Okay, well, I'm stuck with the prospect. So I'm going to give him one last chance. But at this point, there are absolutely no more damn excuses that people can come up with for Aaron Glenn. It's like, listen, all the talent, all the time, patience, resources that has been given to him to get this defense to where we need it to be, this is his last shot. This is his last chance. Otherwise, I don't care if he freaking puts on the best defense for a year. I will want him gone. Because when you've had as many opportunities, you've had as many off seasons, you've had as many resources that have been pumped into your defense, and you still can't figure it out, and if we go into this next season and the same thing happens again, then I'm done. It's like, listen, I'm all about giving people chances. I'm all about people getting second chances. But it's like, listen, we're not on a second chance. We're not even on a 3rd chance. We're now on a 4th chance. So Aaron Glenn has got a lot of work to do. And that's why I'm saying the reason why I'm in this state is because of the freaking evidence that has been presented and has been building for the last 3 years. Because when people want to say, oh, David, you're just being too harsh. You just don't like Glenn on principle. Okay, let's first and foremost back this gravy train up a little bit, and let's take a look at the statistical evidence first and foremost, because you're going to get based part and parcel as a coordinator on how your defense does as a whole. So let's take a look at these stats from 2021, 2022, and this recent year, 2023, to see just how good, good being that operative word in quotations, of a job that Aaron Glenn has been doing. Take a look at these stats in 2021, Aaron Glenn's very first year. I'm not going to hold this one too much against Aaron Glenn because the whole team was crap in 2021. So I'm not going to hold this one too much against him. And it shows in the statistical rankings. Virtually every single statistical ranking that the Lions had in 2021 was crap. There was virtually nothing good about the entire defense at large, and the only defensive ranking that the Lions had that was even any good, and this is a very, very, again, highly operative use of the word good, was the turnovers. We were tied 21st in the league in the amount of turnovers we garnered. Every other statistical ranking that is on that list, we were literally in the very, very bottom of the league for, or very damn near close to it. So, okay, 2021, can't really hold too much against Glenn. You can't really hold too much against the entire Lions organization because Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia had completely destroyed the team, and we had to further destroy it to restart the whole process. So, okay, 2021, can't really say too much about Aaron Glenn. Whatever. We go into that offseason. Brad Holmes works his first wonder in the draft. Okay, hey, you know what? We're going to start getting some talented pieces. We're going to start doing this. We're going to start doing that. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, now we've gotten players that we've had previously in 2021, such as Levi Onwuzurike, such as Aleem McNeil, such as Ife Melifonwu, all the rest of those guys. And now we've added even more talent on top of that. Because now we have Aiden Hutchinson. We have all these other pieces that we've now added also as well. So it's like, okay, we've added more talent to this defense. Now we should see at least some improvement. I'm not asking for the mountains to be moved. I'm not asking for the defense to go from worst to first. I'm just asking for some marginal improvement. But yet again, let's take a look at 2022. Let's take a look at the stats. Every single virtual statistic that has any sort of meaning virtually either never did not improve or actually it got worse because we got worse in total yards that we gave up per game. We got worse in total passing yards that we gave up and also in rushing yards. We dropped in all the rankings. Granted, they're close, but we still dropped. We still got worse. In fact, the only areas that we either maintained a current ranking from 2021 or did better than 2021 were turnovers, where we stayed in virtually the same ranking category, sacks got better, and missed tackles got better. That was it. Virtually everything else stayed the same or got worse. So yet, despite getting Aiden Hutchinson, despite having that first draft that we already had invested in, despite 2 off seasons trying to fix the defense, nope. Still hadn't gotten anywhere. In fact, in most ways, it either stayed the same or got worse. So, all right, we get ready for round 3 here. Okay, Brad Holmes goes into this draft that we have last year. Drafts Jack Campbell, drafts Brian Branch, gets even more defensive talent, goes out and signs C.J. Gardner-Johnson, blah, 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 blah. Go right on down the list. Let's take a look at 2023. Surely this defense got better. Surely this defense actually, made some really good improvements now that we've been through 3 full off seasons for Aaron Glenn to have the resource that he needs. Here's what I'm going to say. While 2023 showed some improvement, it did not show nearly enough improvement for a guy that's been in the job for 3 years. Because again, the total yards defense, that went up. We actually went up in the rankings. But again, we were still below average. Same thing in terms of the passing yards. That was pretty much the same as it was the prior year. The only area that went up substantially was the rush defense. We went from being one of the worst rush defenses to one of the best rush defenses. But again, you take a look at other areas. Points, yep, we went up we went up, but marginally was all we went up. We were still in the bottom half of the league. Turnovers stayed virtually the same. Scoring drive percentage went up, but again, still in the bottom half of the league. Sacks, pretty much the same. Missed tackles, they went back down actually. We actually dropped from 5th to 27th, but again, missed tackles were the same pretty much from 2021. So again, the defense showed some improvement in 2023, but nowhere near enough to justify a guy who's been in the job for 3 years, who's had 3 straight drafts and off seasons to try and get this thing fixed. But again, like I'm saying, some improvement was shown. So to Glenn's credit, the defense did improve from 2021 and 2022. However, though, the improvement, the description I could give for how good the improvement was would be like this. We went from an absolute dumpster fire in 2021 and 2022 to just a regular old dumpster in 2023. It's still a pile of crap. It's still not that good. It's still nowhere near good enough if we want to actually be a Super Bowl contending team. Right now, we are close, but we're not where we need to be to actually, win a Super Bowl, to actually get there yet. And it was showing when we got into the playoffs, and it was part of the reason, in my opinion, we lost the conference championship game. So again, we improved, but again, we went from being just a really steaming hot pile turd to just a regular turd. And I hate using such graphic imagery, but that's about the best way I can describe how this defense has improved from 2021 and 22 to 2023. So there's that. Now again, I'm just going to say this. Some people are going to try and run to Aaron Glenn's defense and simply say, well, David, the defense has simply just not had the amount of talent that Aaron Glenn needs to make this thing work. It goes back to Brad Holmes. Brad Holmes has got to do a better job. Brad Holmes has got to do this, that, or the other thing better. But it's like, okay, here, back up here. Brad Holmes has been arguably the best GM the Lions have had in easily 30, 40 years. And let's understand something here. Brad Holmes has been one of the best, if not the best GM in the NFL in being able to manipulate the draft to get great talent. And here's the reason why I have a problem with this argument about how Brad Holmes has not added enough talent to Aaron Glenn's defense. This is the part of the reason I have this problem. 3 drafts that we went through with Brad Holmes. 23 draft picks in total. 13 of those 23 draft picks have gone to Aaron Glenn's defense. So 56.5% of Brad Holmes' draft picks have gone to Aaron Glenn. Now, take that 56.5%, those 13 draft picks. Then you take it even further. Of those 13 draft picks, 9 of those draft picks have been on picks that were in the 3rd round or higher. You had 2 picks in the 1st round. You had 3 picks in the 2nd round. And then you had 4 picks in the 3rd round. So of those 13 picks, 9 of them went to picks that were 3rd round or higher. So 9 divided by 13, that's 69%. So 69% of that 56.5% were given to quality draft picks. And it's not like Brad Holmes has done a bad job drafting those guys. I mean, after all, Aiden Hutchinson, Brian Branch, Jack Campbell, Ife Melifonwu, Aleem McNeil. I mean, those are just some of the guys. Josh Pascal. These are all guys that have had some sort of contributing factor. Some a little bit better than others, but they've all contributed. The only one that really hasn't contributed is Broderick Martin and Levi Onwuzurike. Broderick Martin was pretty much a healthy scratch for the majority of this year, and Levi Onwuzurike pretty much hasn't done anything since 2021. Otherwise, they've all pretty much done something. So again, you can't tell me it's because Brad Holmes has not given freaking, Aaron Glenn any talent. That's just a foolish argument right there. Now, if you want to say that Brad Holmes hasn't done a good job in the free agency pool, that you might have a better argument with. But you can't say that Brad Holmes has not done his job as a GM, gone out into the draft, and actually gotten talent for freaking Aaron Glenn to use. That one will not fly. I will not stand for that. So, having looked at all the data, the statistical data, the draft data, we now come to the current situation that we're in. Aaron Glenn's coming back for his 4th year. Okay, defense still did not do very good. In comparison to the offense, it looked like a freaking disaster. So, okay, we're coming into this 4th offseason. Brad Holmes is going to look at Aaron Glenn's defense and be like, yep, I got to go through another offseason where I got to figure out how to strengthen, how to bolster, how to improve this defense. So we're going to have to devote even more resources to Aaron Glenn's defense for a 4th straight time to try and get this defense to match where the offense has already been at. Now, why is this going to be a bit of a problem? Well, let's understand the nature of the draft that's coming up for the Lions. They've only got 7 draft picks. And due to the fact that they got to the NFC Conference Championship game, the Lions are going to have a really, really low draft pick this year because they're going to be drafting at pick number 29. The Lions have not drafted that low in a very, very long time. If you realistically think about it, the best pick in terms of positional picking, where they're at in the draft, is the 3rd round draft pick they got from the Vikings. So what does that mean? Well, it means, one, Holmes is going to really have to work his magic and find value at these later round picks and also in these later positional picks in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round because you're not going to get the access to those top 5, top 10 picks that we've had the last 3 years. So what does it mean? It means either Brad Holmes is going to really have to get down to the true nitty-gritty of some of these players, or if he really wants a game changer, he's going to have to trade up. Which, I'm going to say this, it's something that Brad Holmes could consider because we have seen him do that in the past, trading up, Jameson Williams, a.k.a. But for me, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that Brad Holmes is going to have to get creative in the draft, and during the free agency period, he's going to have to knuckle down and he's going to have to get even more talent because at this point, what's holding the Lions' Super Bowl aspiration back, it's not the offense, it's the defense. And likewise, to take it one step further, it's Aaron Glenn. Because at this point, it's like, listen, Aaron Glenn has had 3 years in the job going on 4. His scheme has been the same since the 2nd year. So we've had 2 years with the same scheme. We've had pretty much the same amount of personnel. There's only been a couple of changes, mostly in the defensive secondary, that have stayed the same. So it's like, listen, the defensive line, the linebackers virtually have stayed the same. The defensive secondary is a little bit different. The scheme hasn't changed for 2 years, now going on 3 years. So it's like, listen, Aaron Glenn, you have no more excuses. You are about to get a 4th offseason devoted entirely to getting you more resources to fix this damn defense. If you still cannot fix it after a 4th year, then I'm sorry. You're not the man for the job. I don't care what aspirations you had to want to be the best defensive coordinator in Lions history. You ain't going to do it. If you can't get the job done in 4 years, then you're never going to get the job done. It's just that plain simple to me. So again, I know this for a fact. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Aaron Glenn to get this thing fixed. Because again, at this point, it's like, listen, Ben Johnson, Jared Goff, the offense is clicking. The defense is the one that's not clicking. And what's the biggest part of the problem with the defense? It's the pass secondary. It's the defensive secondary, which I find rather hard to believe considering the fact that Aaron Glenn is a 3-time former Pro Bowl cornerback in the NFL. So how is it a guy that did so well in the NFL as a player can't do very well as a coach? I just don't understand how these defenses can be consistently bad with Aaron Glenn as a defensive coordinator when the passing defense is the problem. But either way, I don't know what else to say. The whole point of the matter is, Aaron Glenn, your time's ticking. Your clock is ticking. You've got to figure this out or we're not going to get where we want to go. I'm going to say that with all emphatic belief. But having said that, I just want to say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you enjoyed what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. Also encourage you all to do one of these 3 things. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past or you subscribed and forgot to do so at the time, again, please, 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 please subscribe. It really helps me out. But also, I want to highly encourage you all, please, to hit that subscription button at the bottom and the bell notification icon to go along with it, because the more people that hit the notification icon will keep getting you on back, and it really helps me out, and I'm ever so thankful for every person that does it. Also, to help in that endeavor, please share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can with anybody and everybody that you can. And with that being said, to everybody, I just want to say thank y'all for devoting some of your time to watch the content. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you just became a new subscriber, welcome to the MCM family. If you still haven't decided to join, hopefully I'll get another chance to do so in the next episode. But until that time, I just want to say God bless, hope you all enjoyed the show, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.